Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Be Lucky podcast with me, your host, Daryl Carter. This is a betting educational podcast. It's part of our betting educational series that's going to be running throughout the entire year, covering loads of different projects. And this is specifically today about trainer form. Now, anyone that's followed me for a long time will know that I'm not a massive fan of trainer form. I don't feel that it's beneficial to a punter to look at how a trainer's horses have been running in the past. And I would like to change the way of thinking when it comes to trainer form. There has been an article that I've written. I wrote it back in 2022. I've had a little update of it today, and I put it into the group. It's free for all members. This podcast will be exclusively only to paying members. But the article is free to all members. So I suggest go and have a sit down, have a long read of that. There's 4 case studies on there. And I think it's very in-depth. It's very a long read. But I wanted to make it in-depth and a long read because I wanted to put across facts and figures about why I think trainer form is absolute garbage. I think it's nonsense. I really do. When I was at Paul Nicholls' yard recently, I spoke to him about the subject because it's a subject I'm quite passionate about. I think it's a subject that a lot of pundits and tipsters out there just use willy-nilly with absolutely no reasoning behind it. I think it's a filler on TV, a time filler. But I spoke to Paul Nicholls when I was out there to see what his opinions were when I was walking around Ditchy, and he completely agreed with me. He said, some people will say that my horses are out of form, but I'm prepping them for targets, so they're not going to be running up to their true form. Now, you can look at trainer form in many different ways, okay? And we should just say that outside of the norm, outside of, a yard bug or a reason why something would affect the entire stable, and it has to be well documented, then I don't think there's any reason why people should be following trainer form. I think it's outdated. I think it's a method that doesn't help. I don't think there's any value in it in the market whatsoever. And I just cannot see how it's beneficial to any punters whatsoever. Maybe I'd get on board if it was at the very start of the season. But then again, there's lots of individual horses that go well fresh, some that need the run. And I don't think you can blanket them all with the statement of trainer form. Just because one horse runs badly doesn't mean another one will. And I think there's loads of reasons for that. They're all individual horses. They're all individual. You hear time and time again that they have their own personalities. Yet apparently we're supposed to judge these horses through a blanket statement like trainer form. I think it's absolute garbage. So let's really get into it, shall we? I'll talk about a recent example that really pissed me off, right? And you'll know this example very well. It was when Sergino was supposed to run in the Triumph Hurdle. Okay, Nicky Henderson had said that his horses weren't. Or people, the media had got into a frenzy about Nicky Henderson's horses. Okay, now they do this every year, and he is part of the case study going back to 2021 and 2022. But there was a whole hoo-ha about Nicky Henderson horses not running well, and I believe he got swept up in it. I think when I watched his interview at the Cheltenham Festival with Lydia Hislop, I think she swept him up into it, and I think she pushed him into it. So, why didn't he run Sergino? Because he said Sergino was fit, healthy, and well at home, but he just didn't want to take the risk because of how his other horses were running. That's balmy. That's absolutely balmy to me, because it wasn't like Nicky Henderson had run any decent horses with decent chances. They were all big priced. A few outran their odds. Lucia finished third in the Champion Hurdle, massively outrunning her rating of 141 at the time, really running a personal best. I cannot believe he didn't take any comfort in that, and he just decided not to run Sergino to be safe. I think that is insane. And I think the whole media frenzy around Nicky Henderson at the Cheltenham Festival in 2024, I just think was crazy. And the media do love to whip up and try and influence punters. And they do it a lot with trainer form. And they will say, oh, the yard hasn't had a winner for so long, or vice versa. They'll say they've had 2 winners down at Yarmouth, and now they're going to have a winner at Kempton on the flat. And it's just, there's absolute no context behind what they say. Now, you can look at strike rates of trainers, which I've done in the article, in depth, and you can find reasons where or spaces where trainers are likely to peak a little bit more than they would otherwise. But there's reasons behind it. There's reasons behind why those horses are winning and getting those trainers those strike rates. You just got to look at the individual cases, and it comes back to a horse being entirely individual. Now, if a horse falls at the last, or hits the last, makes a bad mistake and doesn't quite get back up to win, that goes down as a statistical loss. So, if the trainers had 4 horses in the last 2 weeks that have gone very close, one's unseated, one's fell, one hit the last when it looked like it was going to win, there will be people saying he hasn't had a winner, he's out of form, or just, But what I'm trying to get at is the media frenzy always, I don't care what anyone says, always affects the markets. Now, I've been around a lot of these people, right? A lot of these people in the media. And I can tell you now that they are not spending the time to go back and look at why or how or the reasons why a horse has been beaten, or a reason why the horse has won. That might be various reasons. It might be a drop in grade. It might be that he only won because something came down at the last when clear. There might be loads of reasons. A lot of them have got too many other media commitments to be going back and seriously putting in the research and the work to go and really get in depth with why these horses will win. So what they use and what they say is the trainer's out of form, because it gives them a quick out, especially when they're doing things like at the parade ring, when they're talking about horses going around the parade ring. You can tell some of these people have not done their research. And going back and finding why a horse has been beaten is absolutely paramount to weighing up whether or not this trainer form is real. That's what we've done in the article. That's what we've gone to see all the way through, all the way back down the years with the likes of Paul Nicholls, Colin Tizard, Nicky Henderson. But these people, I've been around them, and I can tell you now, the depth of research is nowhere near what you would think it should be. And their pushing of this constant trainer form, it always affects the markets. You'll see a big talking horse in the Racing Post. They've got a trainer comment about this horse, blah, blah, blah. And it will affect the markets. It's just, the traders are the same as me and you, right? The traders are trying to find the winner of the race, but put them in at the shortest price possible. That's what they're trying to do. And trainer form is something that really affects the markets. Venetia Williams being a really good example in sort of November time, when she starts having a couple of winners. They just put Venetia Williams horses towards the top of the market. Venetia Williams comes good when the mud's flying. It's absolute garbage talk. It's nonsense, because Venetia Williams only comes good if the mud's flying, if she's got a horse that handles the mud, right? It's no good having a good ground horse, is it, running in the mud and saying Venetia Williams horses handle the mud. She's in great form. He should win. Well, he won't win because he hasn't got the conditions to win. A horse should be judged entirely individual on the conditions that they have, on their ideal conditions. Okay, so let me give you a fucking example of this, right? So if a trainer has had 2 winners up at Perth, for example, and they run one of their horses down at Chepstow, and Perth is fast, quick ground, and Chepstow is a slog in the mud. The pundits will say she's had 2 winners up at Perth, looking for another winner here. Naturally, people who are brain dead just want to get behind this other horse. But what about if this horse at Chepstow has never finished better than 6th and has never run to his rating on heavy ground? I'm telling you now, that horse will be underpriced in the market. And the more the media speak about it, if they start saying, let's say for example it is Venetia Williams, right? I'm just plucking names out of thin air here, but let's say if it is Venetia Williams, right? She's had 2 winners up Perth, and she's now got a runner down at Chepstow. 2 days ago, she had 2 winners at wherever. Does it matter if she's had 10 winners in the last week if the horse at Chepstow hates heavy ground? It doesn't. It doesn't. And to me and to you, we should be looking to basically try and get that horse beat, because the market is going to, regardless, the market is going to push a lot on trainer form. It's going to shorten a lot on trainer form. So my point being is every horse should always be treated as an individual. Every horse, regardless, should be treated as an individual. And I think if we look at horses and the reasons why they have or haven't won, rather than just saying all the trainers out of form and being fucking lazy with it, that will get us ahead. Like I say outside of the, a bug in the yard or whatever, and people will say, well, how do you know if there's a bug in the yard? Well, they should be fucking telling you. It should be well documented that there is. I mean, go and watch that video that I've put up on this trainer form column. Jesus fucking Christ. What, like, that's a trainer that, like, any punter should look at that interview and say, I will never back one of his horses. I would never back one of his horses, and I would never have a horse with him. That's my personal opinion of that video that you're going to see on the website. And just, I mean, I just cannot get in my head how this trainer form sort of thing has carried on for so many years. It seems like the dinosaurs in this game are stuck in their way. And they're the same type of people that will say if a horse drifts, he can't win. It's insane. The horse doesn't know what price he is. The horse doesn't know how his stablemates have got on up at fucking Perth when he's running under unfavourable conditions at Chepstow. But I plead you to read the article, because there is a lot of sense in that article. Spent a lot of time doing that, going back through strike rates, months of trainers. And I think it's well worth something to keep reflecting back to. Like I say, trainer form is one of the easiest things for traders to pick up. Like, every website does the statistics for it. The media love to push it. It's the easiest thing for the traders to factor into their prices, trainer form. I mentioned in the article about a horse called Dolos who won for Paul Nicholls. Read that section there, and you tell me that you can't get value going against trainer form. I think you can. I've never once looked at horses or how trainers have done with their previous horses before thinking about backing a horse or looking at a horse's chance in the market. And that's something we're going to touch on, how I look at races down the line. So I kind of wanted to keep these subjects related. In April we did 2 mile circuit times. We'll go back on that later in the year, and we'll start getting more in depth with how you can do that, and I can show you 1 or 2 angles that I use with that. But trainer form, I genuinely believe, I'm passionate about it. It is fucking garbage. It is absolute garbage. You will hear so many people when they're trying to make a case for a horse say the yard's in good form, and they're normally brain dead idiots. they're normally brain dead idiots, because it has absolute no bearing at all on what that horse can do. Another horse at another venue will have no bearing on what this horse could do. Just stick with the conditions of the race. Get those horses ticking those boxes. Track, trip, ground, class of race, left-handed, right-handed. There are multiple factors you need to consider before even thinking about fucking trainer form. So, look, I hope that is giving you my view on trainer form. If you've got any questions, please just drop them below this or drop them below the article that I've produced in there. It's something we're going to keep talking about. It's something I'm going to keep drumming into people as well, because you shouldn't be listening to people that are just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to back this day because the yard's going well. Yard's going well. Fuck off, mate. Bollocks. So hopefully that's been helpful today. Hopefully the article's been helpful. I did really enjoy writing that article. It was a lot of man hours. So let me know if you do like it. But please, let's not start looking at trainer form. Let's just judge horses as individuals, as they should be judged, under the correct conditions to get the best out of them. Always ask yourself, will they run faster? Until next time, be lucky.